Hey guys, it's me again. Super happy about being back online. Today's video cast is I Need You. And we're going to be focusing on the people that we need. Basically, our at-home support, our support groups, all that kind of stuff. Our network. There you go. Who do we need in our life? We need friends. We need our coworkers, or for anyone who stays home currently, we need our spouses or our significant others. We need our parents, moms, dads, stepmoms, stepdads. We need our siblings. You know, I have gazillion sisters out the wazoo. Don't have any brothers, but some of you may. And sometimes we need acquaintances, just people that are kind of just in our life to be there for the moment and then they're gone. You know, they're our passerbys. So why do we need these people? When you're experiencing a loss, you obviously have your many stages of grief. You know, you have your denial, your anger, and you know, you get all the way up until that acceptance, and you need people to get you through that process. Who can get you through that process? You know, you have your mom and your dad and your spouse, the people that are right there in the nitty gritty. And they sometimes, well, they don't ever grieve the same as you. Sometimes they don't grieve at all. I have a very, very active mother who was there the entire time of my daughter's life. She was there when I was pregnant. She was there when I had my daughter. She was there for my daughter's entire 6 months and 5 days. And she was actually there in the hospital with me the second that my daughter passed away. So, you know, my mother has been there 100%. My husband was, he's in the military and he was active at the time. He was on the ship. He was 3 hours away. He couldn't get there in time. And he and I grieve differently. My mother and I very much so grieve the same. My mom is my go-to gal. And she's the one person that I could call or text or email or Facebook, whatever. And I can say, Mom, I need you. My husband is my second go-to. And it's not because I don't love him. It's just his relationship was different and his grieving is different. So, you know, he was deployed for 5.5 months. My mother was there for the whole 5.5 months of her life until he came in. And when he came in, he only had a week and a half with her of paternity leave that he was able to take. And then he had to go back to the ship, and he was on the ship, and I had to call him. He had to get out of his uniform, everything, you know, he wasn't there at the time. So our grieving is different. He didn't have as much time with her. He doesn't have the same memories as me. So his grieving is different. It doesn't mean that we can't grieve together. It just means our grieving is different. But it's hard for us to tell each other, I need you. And this is still 4.5 years into it. Saying I need you is very hard. Our communication is a little bit off, but we are working on that. And that's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. I still have my go-to gal, and that's my mother. And I can just say, Mom, I really need to talk to you real quick. Or I'm having these feelings. Or remember that one time that Chloe did this, you know? And it's great and it's beautiful. And I feel like I can have that moment with her. And with my husband, we have a week and a half of the same memories. And then we have everything past her death. We have been able to grieve together, but it's been a different kind of grieving. Put that into perspective a little bit. You know, your coworkers, whether they met your child or not, your coworkers do mean well. They just don't know how to be there for you. Same with acquaintances. They might somewhat empathize with your loss, but they're not always going to completely 100% be okay with death or with the type of loss that any of us have experienced. Someone may sit there and say, it was just a miscarriage, you can try again. How many times have you guys heard that? Or stillbirth, oh, I'm so sorry. Or maybe they don't even talk to you at all because they're like, oh my God, I don't know what to say. Death makes me so uncomfortable. Death doesn't make us feel uncomfortable because we've experienced it. It's very, very hard after a loss to go through any kind of relationship because everything changes. There's some point in our life where something switches and it's different. My sister and I have a very different relationship now. She has gone more to the quiet side of her feelings, and I have gone more to the overexpressive side of my feelings. I talk about my daughter all the time, and my sister, who was also very much involved in her life, is like, she has those memories, but they're very, very much so inside. And that's okay with me. I just need to hear from her sometimes. I need to hear it. I need you to tell me that you miss her, that she was a part of your life. And I feel like that's where a lot of us are at, is that, I told you about my pregnancy and I lost my baby. I need you to be there for me. Or, I told you about my pregnancy and I told you I was going into the delivery room and the baby didn't come home with me. I need you. Or, I had a baby. My baby was in my arms and you were able to see and watch her giggle or see him crawl, and now he's not here anymore. You need to be able to say those things. And I actually have a few little do's and don'ts, quick ones. So disorganized tonight. I feel like we tend to shy away from people who judge or don't understand our way of grieving. I went straight into drinking heavily after the loss of my daughter. I couldn't sleep. It was very hard for me to sleep because my daughter and I co-slept, and it was very hard for me to understand or even accept my own loss at the beginning. And I really could not sleep either. It was awful. Every night I looked over at her bed because her bed was inches from mine, and it was hard. There are some people who are like, well, when are you going to get rid of their stuff? If all this baby stuff is a reminder. Well, yes, it's a beautiful reminder. Someone who gets pregnant, maybe they automatically buy a swaddler to remind them that there's a baby coming. Or someone who, before they experience a stillbirth, they buy a crib. That crib is sitting in their room. Or someone who actually has a child. They have their belongings. And it's very hard to get rid of those things. And these are just things that you shouldn't feel afraid to stand up for yourself. You shouldn't feel afraid to say, you know what, I'm grieving this loss and I don't need to feel judged right now. I need your support. I need you. I don't need your judgment. I need you. And this is something that I feel all of us can do. This is something that we all can do better. I know myself that several times anyone who talks about my daughter, thinks about my daughter, breathes about my daughter, it affects me in a way because I don't feel like they're expressing it to me and they're keeping it to themselves. And I want her memory to stay alive. This is a child that lived and breathed and laughed and cried. This is a beautiful little girl. And anyone who experiences any kind of loss, they want their loved one to have some kind of a legacy. They don't want their person to be forgotten. Any person. Let's take the children out of it. Any loss. You want someone to be remembered. You don't want them to be just a faint memory that is silent. So let's try to work together and see. I want you guys to comment after the video. Let's work together and see ways that we together can push through and tell people, I need you, how will you tell someone that you need them? And who do you need? Love you guys. Thank you for watching.